Okay, we're live. Welcome, and thank you for your patience because we had a little bit of internet problems today. I couldn't quite get into my own Hangout, but it's all an adventure, it's an experiment, and we're here. So today's question is going to be, what makes a forward-thinking entrepreneur? And that is what I'm going to be exploring with my very special guest, colleague, and friend, Andrea Lee. Andrea is also my mentor and coach. So I'm really honored to have her here with me today on this revitalized, repurposed episode of Conversations and Experts, which I first started in 2005 and ran for about 50 weeks with my co-host Patsy Craycop, and we interviewed an expert every single week for 50 weeks. And then I think we must have gotten burned out or something because we stopped. But we're back because it seemed so perfect to have Andrea relaunch Conversations with Experts for me. So Andrea, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here with me today.
Denise, it's a total joy, and thank you so much, because we would not be here. I would not be here right now without your partnership. I like to think of Denise as our visibility partner at Wealthy Thought Leader, and you've definitely thrust us out into this G+ hangout space, and can't thank you enough for that.
Well, it's my pleasure. I'm a complete HOA fangirl, Google fangirl, and it's my mission to get as many people using this tool as possible. And even though there are glitches here and there, it's still, that's kind of what it's about. Is like stuff is changing, and you got to move fast, and you got to be able to adapt. And I know we're going to be covering that. But before I do that, I would like to just give a short bio, little introduction to you, Andrea, if that's okay.
Of course.
Okay, so as I said, this is our first episode of Conversations with Expert, and I am honored to welcome my business coach and mentor, Andrea Lee, who is the founder of Wealthy Thought Leader International. And I've been crossing paths with Andrea since 2001, if you can believe that. I mean, that seems like ancient times to me, at least in internet years. And in 2012, I attended a Wealthy Thought Leader workshop in Vancouver, and I was blown away by my experience with Andrea there, and I immediately hired her to be my coach and have been working with her ever since on a very deep and powerful level. And I am so grateful for having made that connection back in 2012. So thank you for that, Andrea.
Oh.
So Andrea is an entrepreneurial futurist with her finger on the pulse of entrepreneurial spirit. And I can totally attest to that. She has a way of really getting to the heart and soul of things when it comes to business and entrepreneurs and doing business as unusual. And this is also shows up in how Andrea coaches and leads and participates in the world on all levels. So it's really exciting for me to be sharing Andrea with you today, because some people may not know you yet, Andrea. It's hard to believe, but it could be true. Anyway, Andrea is a trusted source of coaching pioneer Thomas Leonard's intellectual property. She's the architect behind the Pink Spoon marketing craze. You probably remember that. And her company was named by Seth Godin and Fast Company magazine is one of the extraordinary bull market companies helping their clients stand out and prosper. So we've got a really, really exciting conversation designed for you today on the 7 surprising strategies of forward-thinking entrepreneurs. So Andrea, thank you for being here with me today.
I could not be happier. Hanging out is kind of fun. Kind of fun, you guys. You should try it. You should really try it.
So it's looking like, I just want to actually to throw it out there and see, okay, obviously somebody can hear because Laura West is repeating something I wrote. So I said, so that means that people can hear. I should have asked that question before. So if you see me looking to the side, it's because I'm looking at the comments, trying to keep track of what's going on here too, and that's part of being a Hangout host. Mm-hmm. So Andrea, we decided that we were going to talk about these 7 strategies of the 7 surprising strategies of forward-thinking entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And so why don't we just dive in and start? And if you could start off with, an introduction to how you came up with these strategies, and maybe what's the first one?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think it's important to say a little bit about why I love to talk about forward thinkingness. It can be really easy to get caught up in tactics in our business. What are we doing today? What are we doing this afternoon or this moment on a hangout maybe? But thinking ahead, I have found to be one of the most important things we can do to make the entrepreneurial journey worthwhile. I don't know about you, but being an entrepreneur is not like a piece of cheese. It's not super easy all the time.
No.
Right? If we wanted to make a living and something, it'd probably be easier to go get a job at the post office in some ways. So to make the entrepreneurial journey worthwhile, I think there's a little something called thought leadership that we can plug into, because the way I like to put it is, with our businesses, we get to shape the conversation that's happening in the world. We get to decide what we like and don't like about our world and change it, tailor it, shape it to what we think is important. And in order to do that well, obviously we need to look ahead at, 10 years from now, what kind of a world would I like to live in? 5 years from now, what kind of a world would I like to live in? What kind of a world would I like to leave a niece or a cousin or nephew or grandchild? And use our entrepreneurial platforms to shape that in the way that we want. And that's what's super exciting about these 7 strategies. If you are thinking you might not be a forward-thinking entrepreneur, I would like for that to change if we can on today's Hangout, because I don't think, first of all, you would be attracted to the topic if you weren't. But even if you have some doubt, I think something in the seven strategies is going to have you hook in a way that helps you understand yourself as a thought leader, as someone who, is ready to take up arms and say, yes, you know what, through my big, little, or humongous, or tiny business, I can change that world. And the first time that this really landed for me, Denise, is it okay if I get a little personal? Because I think that's the source of a lot of what gives me the juice about this topic anyway.
Well, I think that the audience would appreciate that too.
Yeah? Okay. Well, in the Hangout kind of feeling is just, really conversational, and I love that about this medium. So I was born into an entrepreneurial family. My dad was actually trained as a lawyer in a Japanese university, but when he came to Canada, he, you know how that happens. Sometimes you're not allowed to use your education in a new country. So he immediately became an entrepreneur, and it's really hilarious because when I think about it, he was a real estate agent, a travel agent. He had a college. He did all sorts of, he ran a laundromat in a very, very stereotypical Asian family running a laundromat. And, sometimes it was successful, but most of the time it wasn't. He had a really difficult time with anger, and he wasn't able to build a team. We'll touch on this a little bit in one of our points, but when you have a vision for the future and the way you'd like to take it, if you have a big vision, sometimes you're going to need to ask yourself, how are you going to engage a team, whether that be, actual people who work with you as contractors or employees, or a community like the one that, Denise, you can be in all the time. That's kind of your team. He just wasn't able to do that. Really failed. But you know what? He didn't fail in an ordinary way. He failed spectacularly. And it took him a long time to finally fail to where he is now, where he's in his 70s and kind of still just like trying to figure out the next Nigerian investment,
Oh, no.
Yeah. So needless to say, witnessing that and being who I am as a very caring person who wants for others to achieve their dreams, it was really a trial by fire for me. It was kind of one of those things where I wished I had been a better coach than I was when I was a teenager or a young woman. So now whenever I'm helping entrepreneurs, whether it be someone like you, Denise, with this incredible passion for visibility and getting results for your clients, a little part of me is going back to help my dad. And that's a lot of the reason why I do what I do. Also, because I'm Asian, in case you hadn't noticed, video allows you to see for yourself. I'm Asian of descent.
No secrets here, right?
Just full kimono, yeah. There are a lot of Asians in the world, and some of the stereotypes around that is like, you kind of can't see the difference, we're easy to mistake for each other, whether it's a joke or not. Like when I'm in Chinatown with my husband, Mike, who's a Caucasian guy, he always says, well, if you get lost in Chinatown, you're going to have to look for me, right? I won't be able to find you. Yeah, after 20 years of knowing each other, you still won't be able to find me in Chinatown. But
yeah, right.
Standing out is a very big theme of the entrepreneur coaching that I do. And today we're going to talk about that and some of our strategies. It's not only a competitive market. You've heard that before. There's an ocean of competition. The number of choices that people have, it's no longer, how good is your offer, or, what price should I make your offer? It's like, well, why should anyone buy anything from you at all? People are so busy. Standing for something forward-thinking, although it's maybe not the most common advice, it's a little bit unusual, it is one of those things that in the long run sets you up for success that stays with you. It's not trendy success.
Well, I think that's one of the biggest things that I've been able to take from our work together is that it's more satisfying and more rewarding, and you'll be more successful in the long run when it's about what your style of entrepreneurship versus everybody else's. So standing out for that thing that you stand for. And I think that at one point you asked, what do you stand for? You asked this in a workshop, and I was just like, oh my gosh, what do I stand for? And that's a really big thing to come to terms with, so that is the thing that distinguishes you from everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Because in my industry, there's about a gazillion people doing social marketing. So, what is the thing that makes me different? And that's a really good question that I think everybody needs to ask.
Well, you're an incredible introvert, and you have an adventurous spirit, even though you are an introvert. So it's not true that all introverts are like hiding under a blanket every single day, not doing anything, like petrified by being introverted. And you are rabid about results, and you have a personality that just gets shit done. I can't remember the last, every time I talk to Denise, it's like, oh, I'm running another half marathon this weekend. It's like, isn't that like a once in a lifetime thing? No, it's just a regular, and this personality it's a good example, because examples really help with this. This is what makes people want to work with you, not somebody else who, I don't know, has a different kind of personality. Mm-hmm. So I think it's true, and I'd love to jump into the strategies and get going. I made a little card here's strategy number 1.
Oh, excellent.
How's that?
Visual cues, okay.
Strategy number 1 is forward-thinking entrepreneurs think proactively about overwhelm. We think proactively about overwhelm. Now, you might ask the question, how is this a strategy? It seems like just a piece of advice, think proactively about overwhelm. But I want to say to you that regardless of what level of entrepreneurship you're in, startup, just earning your first few dollars with a crazy idea that you think is going to change the world, or you're well into a lot of income, being proactive about overwhelm means guarding ferociously your mission and your clients. Being proactive about overwhelm means that you understand what it takes to say the difficult no's. Saying yes to things is important. Let's say you're wanting to generate more leads and reach more people and so on. You need to be in a position of saying yes to the adventurousness of yes, I'll speak here, yes, I'll do that, right? Denise, you went through a season of saying yes to all of those kinds of opportunities. That's good. But you had to say no to a whole bunch of other stuff in order to say those yeses. And I think that what I'd say about this strategy, because it's my job as the teacher in this moment to make sure it lands, right? I don't want you to slough it off like, oh, it's very cliche and yes, okay, yes, I'll deal with overwhelm. If you are not actively thinking about your own state of mind and emotions around how much there is to do as an entrepreneur, all the choices that you have, the things that you can buy, the experience you can have in the world, it's probably because you're so overwhelmed you don't even realize it.
That's a really important point, because I think we do, as entrepreneurs, we do have so much coming at us all the time, and there are so many opportunities to say yes, and I'm sure I'm not alone in feeling from time to time, if I say no, I'm missing something. Mm-hmm. I'm missing an opportunity. I'm missing a possible client. I'm missing an experience, like you say. So, I think that is a really key point of you've got to be able to say no to be able to say yes.
Yeah. Missing something, like if I don't say yes, I'm going to miss something. Counter that a little bit. So this is kind of a coaching approach to giving this point. Counter that with, if I say yes to everything, I'm definitely missing something.
Yeah, definitely. Missing a lot, I think, because you can't really give 100% to everything.
Yeah.
And you can't really fully experience everything if you're doing everything.
One of the things that I know we've talked about too, Denise, and happens so often in coaching, I should paint the front of my house with this. It's like, if you want to be more focused about your income, find 5 no's to say for the month. They might be little no's, you could say 5 of them for the week. They might be bigger no's, you might need to say 5 of them for a quarter. No more this, no more that. I am going to just stop. We are done with this one area that hasn't been paying you dividends. If you're listening along and you can imagine that just for a moment, you're doing it right when you feel a giant sense of, holy shit, I could say no to that. The possibilities of what could be possible start to trickle in. Like, we just asked this actually in one of our coaching groups. What if you could have one income stream and one launch for that each year, and it would take care of the majority of your income needs in your business? And the amount of relief, and the perplexed faces, can you see my perplexed, say, what? One income stream, what? Goes against, what? Goes against all the, oh, we need a funnel, we need a this, we need a that, and all of that is sound wisdom also. But just thinking about being proactive about overwhelm in this way gives you a thinking construct that can be very strategic and important as a forward-thinking entrepreneur.
That is a very powerful piece to jump into. I know that I'm frequently asked to do telesummits and do interviews and this, that, and the other thing, and there was a time I felt like I was saying yes to everybody because I didn't want to miss out on an opportunity, and that I was promoting everybody else and not my own business anymore. So that was a very important piece for me to have to learn in the last few years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, think about it. It's true of your house, right? Maybe not everybody's house, but I can certainly still declutter. I can certainly still declutter my nutrition. Like, I could be eating fewer things with sugar in them or stuff like that. There's less is the new more. applies very much to entrepreneurs. And so making the decision to be proactive, fiercely proactive about your overwhelm is the first strategy.
Excellent. What's next?
The second strategy,
number 2.
I'm having fun with you guys on video here, is I hinted at it actually. It's prioritizing decision making. And this is a strategy also because I find that, especially if you're in the about to break 6 figures mark, we can allow ourselves to become paralyzed by decisions. And we start to think, we gather feedback, we post and do a poll, we do a survey. All these things have their place, but being decisive is a CEO's job. And if you're going to be someone who actively shapes, is the author of a conversation through your business that shapes the world, decisions are a huge part of it. So becoming a decision maker, claiming your identity as a decision maker is a strategy that I wanted to emphasize here. A couple of little points. No decision is also a decision.
True.
Okay. If you do not decide, something's going to happen. If you decide, you have a little bit of influence on that something. So consider that, and identify if you can as sort of a hands-on way to apply today's Hangout content. Places where you're making a process out of something when really what it requires is a decision. I would love for more of us who want to get ahead, do the great work in the world that we know we're here to do, earn more money, to make small decisions in the right direction than to hang on to big decisions in the wrong direction. So that's strategy number 2.
One thing, just to follow up on that a little bit, that one of the things I've heard you say is that making a decision is a point of transformation.
Mm-hmm.
Can you clarify that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of it's almost a little bit like Schrodinger's cat. There's a cat inside a box, but you can't see it. Does it exist? If you have an action that you want to take, you're thinking about taking it. It's like decision-making fondling. You're kind of fondling the decision, okay? The moment you take it is when you become the new person, right? Until you take it, you remain the same person. And this goes for you as an entrepreneur. So this is the second level. You're helping us go deeper on this one, Denise, because there's lots that can be coached and said about this, is that prioritizing decision-making for yourself is going to allow you to help your clients be better at decision-making.
Mm-hmm.
When we're in selling conversations especially, our job is to hold the urgency of that decision, the appropriate urgency of that decision-making for them, and not let them hem and haw, because it's not a service for people to give them a whole bunch more decisions and have them sit and go dazed and catatonic. Okay? So to be a leader, a thought leader, and a conversation shaper, someone who positively shapes the world, become a good decision maker, and then help others become good decision makers. That's a world I want to be part of.
That's lovely. That's lovely. I like that. I like that. Okay. Are we on to number 3 now? Do we get to see the next cue?
Are those showing up backwards, or are they fine?
No, I'm seeing them correctly.
Okay.
I don't think anybody else is. Nobody said anything about them being backwards. So.
Okay, well, I guess I could show them upside down, and then it would be backwards.
Oh. That's definitely backwards.
So, point number 3, forward-thinking entrepreneurs are strategic about doing what only they can do. So, let's say that you're a writer, just for an example, because I know examples really help to make sense of some of these thoughtful things. Let's say you're a writer. Can we all nod our heads and agree that there are a lot of writers out there? Okay,
Lots.
a lot of writers. How do we stand out? Okay, we can talk about our personality, we can talk about our backstory, we can specialize in a particular niche, we can cultivate a style. And then there's this idea of doing what only you can do. What only you can do. And what does that mean? For me, what that means is identifying what's missing or broken in your opinion about your business offering. So if you're this writer, maybe you think all this internet writing has created way too short paragraphs and no depth. Like, it just drives you crazy that there's no like literary merit to much of the writing online, and you are in a fiery ball of passion about bringing quality writing of greater meaning and subtlety to the internet. And the reason for that is something that goes back to something early. Maybe you had a fantastic experience in high school with an English teacher who showed you the love of Jane Austen, or something like that. That is the kind of thing that then only this writer could do powerfully in this way. So that's a small example, but hopefully it starts to open that up a little bit.
Well, and I think that it's one of those things, like it goes back to being proactive also about the overwhelm is what do you say no to, because I think that when you have that opportunity to say, what is it only I can do, then that can help filter the decision making and where the no's go to.
Yeah. I mean, again, just right yesterday, it was yesterday or the day before, in one of our programs, we had somebody who, she's in a service business. She helps people do like launching and websites and different things like that online. She was talking about what she's answering this question. What can only you do? I was, kind of looking at her and kind of, virtually getting, okay, you need to answer this question because, hello, are there hundreds and hundreds of people who do these services? Like, why, aside from knowing the person already and word of mouth, why would somebody hire you? And she answered a whole bunch of things. She cares a lot about the ethics and the integrity of doing online business. So her launching is very much that kind of feeling of doing it without hype and, that kind of thing. But then she landed on something from way, way back. She actually had her own experience running a community on something health-related that was personal to her. She had a health situation that created a desire in her to make a community online in a very healing and heart-centered way. And that community went crazy. It's like I don't know if it's 1 million people, but it's truly one of those internet success stories that is like, wow, there are tens of thousands of people who are now better off because of this community she built. She hadn't been telling that story, and she hadn't been doing the work with her clients from that come from. So she would work with me, let's say, for example, and say, well, we need to do this next, and then this, and your calendar, and blah, blah. But she wasn't saying, because if you don't do that, you're going to have adrenaline, you're going to have this, and your health, and blah, blah. Like, all of a sudden, it's a completely different story. So to get going on this, the pivotal question is, what do you feel is missing or broken? And Denise, I know that maybe you can comment about this too, but I love it when people like BMW, bitch, moan, and whine, or kvetch, or like get annoyed and really get into what I like to call oyster grit about it. It's like, this is where the source of energy is. People talk about, oh, don't gossip and don't bitch. Yes, don't do that frivolously just to do it. Do it with a purpose. Like Martin Luther King was saying things that he was upset about and broken and missing and, in a sense, complaining about the state of the world. Like, whoa, what a complainer. MLK, just a bunch of complaining. No, he channeled that to call forward that power that then drove this forward-thinking vision that caused people to take action. And this is what we want you to tap into. What do you feel is missing or broken? And start to cultivate your voice.
And in a way, that goes to the whole piece about what do you stand for. You know,
Yes.
and because what's missing or broken, that's, to me, kind of like the first piece, and then, okay, so how do you make that better?
Yes.
What do you add to it that only you can add?
Yes.
So that's the one we're on. Only you can add that is going to improve that and attract the people who are interested in that solution.
Yes. And in there, really important, we won't go into it because it's not a strategy necessarily, it's like prove that what you have can change this. And then from there, stand on top of that proof to make it louder and reach more people, etc.
Excellent.
Yeah. You know, we have Sarah Avant Stover in our community, Way of the Happy Woman, who took a stand for what's broken for women, spirituality and health, all the yoga that's out there that she felt was missing a big part of women's femininity that has taken off beautifully. Jennifer Lee, who I know you also know, also a business coach, so just had enough, like fed up with all the left brain spreadsheets and this unfun way of doing business. So she has right brainers in business now, really just so beautiful. All these things that are voice-based, you know, doing social media in a powerful way, even if you're an introvert, that's an incredible, empowering leadership stance that you're taking in adventures in visibility. So the examples are all around, and maybe now you'll start to see them a little bit differently as a result of this.
Good, good. Okay, so we are
number 4.
On number 4. Okay. Oh, hang on. Let me show. Okay, there you are. Number 4. We're on number 4, folks. I love that. These are going to make good markers for me when I'm, you know, looking at the liner notes here.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Exactly. I was like, I wondered if I was going to illustrate them or whatever, but you know, the numbers are good too. Number 4 is one of my favorite ones, and it's definitely very strategic for those of you who are at higher levels of income. You know, it doesn't matter in what way you do this strategy. There are multiple styles and ways to do it, but it's lead together. So perhaps a surprising strategy for forward-thinking entrepreneurs is that we lead together. We're learning to lead together. In previous years, kind of old school, I feel kind of like old-fashioned when I say that. I feel like I'm trying to be hip or something. Old school way of leading is triangular, right? Over here, top down, there's a guru at the top, and we bestow gems down to the people at the bottom of the triangle, okay? But just like this hangout illustrates, just like this hangout illustrates, it's leadership now is very much more in a circle, right? So we have moved from the triangle to a circle. And I mean, not only is it a heck of a lot more fun, there's so much smarts in our community. Together we can go so much farther. Leading together is a very deep, beautiful pool of wisdom. A couple of little points I could say, you know, when you think of geese flying in V formation, okay, I'm Canadian. In addition to being Asian, I'm also Canadian, so it's like the convergence of politeness.
Oh, I like that. Okay. Go ahead.
Politeness.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll say more about that. Actually, I'm writing more about that in my book coming out later this year. It's called Only You.
But Only You. Okay. Yes. I hadn't heard that before.
Yeah, it's just sort of hot off the presses. Brand new news.
Ooh. Yeah. You guys have heard it. Maybe not first, but almost first.
Definitely first in a public group like this. Definitely.
Oh, okay. Definitely. You guys heard it first in public. Andrea's next book is called Only You.
Special news. Yeah. It's actually a very personal book that's scaring the crap out of me to write. So I'm eating my own cooking. leading together, when you look at the geese flying in V formation, I think by now most of us know that the leader that's at the point of that V formation changes. It takes turns. The geese spell each other off. Kind of like at the front of the peloton in the Tour de France, you know, the bicycle races, the person in the front drafting for everybody else, if you're into cycling, is working the hardest, is the leader. What people don't usually know, it's very interesting about V formation. So think of yourself as the CEO and your community or your team or both behind you flying in formation with you. Okay, you're the one with the vision. You're the one that wants to change the world in this incredible way. You have people flying with you, and it's easier to fly in V formation than it is to fly on your own. Okay. When you see a V formation flying with a very flat V, so let me see if I can draw this. When you see that, like it's almost like, you know, a wide roof.
Yeah, okay.
When that's happening, it's easier on the leader.
Yep, you got it right there.
Okay. It's easier on the leader. When the opposite is happening and you have a really pointy V, it's easier on the team. The leader is doing more work here. When the leader is tired, the team can come out and fly more in a straight line. So isn't that interesting? It's a way for us to think about the different, not just leading together, but be strategic about asking your team to lead more with you in some circumstances and knowing when you have to lead more. Right. And be more piercing about your leadership. It's a good analogy I find very useful myself when I switch between, it's like, you know what, I have an incredible idea. I'd like to go with it, but I can hardly speak about it. It's so new and like kind of original, and I feel like I try to talk and all that happens is...
What are the words, right?
It's pre-verbal, right? In that case, then I'm going to have to fly at the front and my team is going to, you know, not be able to help me as much. But as soon as I'm able to articulate that, they're going to be able to fly wider with me and I'll be able to rest. And in this case, let me make it really clear that team definitely also refers to your community. Isn't that beautiful?
I love that.
Your team, it is extraordinary, Denise, what your team does. If there isn't a team or community around any given business idea, especially one with deep roots like a thought leader business usually has, it's not going to work. Every business idea that's going to work needs a team around it. It needs a community around it. If there isn't a community around an idea, it will fail in this new paradigm world, for sure. So that's strategy number 4.
Okay. Excellent, excellent. I just would like to take a minute here and give you a couple of shout outs because people are really digging what you're saying. This one's kind of funny, so I want to put this on. Sally Sue Ember. I add missing hyphens. So.
Thank you, Sally. Is that something that only you can do?
I thought that was funny, and Sally's been doing a fabulous job kind of giving the highlights of what you're talking about. So I want to thank you, Sally, for doing that too, because that really is helpful for everybody else who's watching it and who comes afterwards. So thank you for that. Anyway, shall we go on to the next one?
I would love it. Actually, if it's okay, would it be okay if I make the little invitation that I had in mind here? It's just a real quick thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we actually have a little group coaching program, guys. I want to make sure that I spit this out and let you know, because if I'm hanging out with you guys, it would be, I feel like it's like on my mind back here and I want to spit it out. For those of you who are interested and find this kind of conversation useful, we have an environment called the Meaningful Monetization Lab that's actually having an open house right now. And it's super fun. We've never done this before, so we're definitely, you know, thinking about what's missing and what's broken in the coaching world. To me, one of the big things that's missing is that you can't tell if the coaching is any good until after you've hired the person for lots of money. That's actually a bummer, I think. And so one of the ways that I was thinking that maybe only we could do is to demonstrate in an open house format what our coaching is like. And you can do that right now. It's actually only open till Friday, July the 11th in this particular case. And if you'd like to check out our open house, it's a 21-day trial window. And our whole team of coaches, these geese that I've been talking about, 5 of us, are leading in there, helping you make decisions, helping you be proactive, helping you sort out what only you can do. It's $97. Did I say 21 days, 5 coaches? All it is at wealthythoughtleader.com/lab trial. wealthythoughtleader.com/lab trial. And it may not be for you right now. We definitely don't expect that it's going to be for everyone. But it is a great way if you've been looking for a place to get coaching. It's a great way to get a taster without having to commit. We like to say no second mortgages. Hopefully no second mortgages and no future regret around the coaching programs at Wealthy Thought Leader.
Okay, I was able to post that link. And so did Amy. Amy posted it, and I posted it in the comments so that it's easier. It's easier for everybody to get it. So,
thank you, great. And thanks for giving me a couple minutes of your attention to spit that out as well. So, should we move to strategy number 5? Where's my 5 card? Did I not make a 5 card? This would be embarrassing. Oh, no, here it is. I drew my triangle on it. That's why I got mixed up. Here we go.
Okay, there's 5. All right. It's like Vanna White.
Yes. I don't know how to do that at the same time, but.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Okay.
So, yeah, moving right along, strategy number 5 is actually, I actually have a video clip that I'm hoping some of you will watch. It's from my favorite movie, and it's called Batman: The Dark Knight Rises. And some of you who have been to our workshops will have seen it. It's an extremely powerful clip of when, what's that actor's name? Why am I thinking Charles Grodin? I know it's not Charles Grodin. Christian Bale.
I was going to say the guy who plays Batman?
Yeah.
Yeah, Christian Bale.
He is in a prison in a dungeon. And the only way out is to jump up steps and climb this really tall well out into the sunlight. You can see, the only sunlight you can see in this prison is this patch that's a circle shape. It's an incredible clip that illustrates this strategy, and it is about having a sense of urgency. So as we're going along, near the end of our time here, I'm going to ask you guys whether you have a favorite out of these strategies, whether it's being proactive about overwhelm or decision making, doing what only you can do. There might be a short quiz at the end. Having a sense of urgency. Why would I say that about being a forward-thinking person?
Do I get to answer, or should everybody? Why don't you guys answer out in Hangout land?
That'd be fun.
Yeah. Why? So what's the question again?
Why is having a sense of urgency important enough to be part of our teaching today? I'll tell you a story to illustrate while you're answering. Okay. I was in Minneapolis around this time last year. Doing a keynote, I guess it was at the ICF Minneapolis coaching conference there. And I was in the washroom, and it's actually kind of a sad story, so put up your shields a tiny bit if you're a sensitive person, which so many of us are. There was a mother, and it sounded like it was a son, a young son, coming into the ladies' washroom with the mom, washing his hands. And out of nowhere, really, I'm in the stall, and I hear the mom said, "Why did you use so much soap? The soap is blah, blah, blah. Now it's taking forever to wash off the soap." And this went on. I'm not going to go into the real energy of that, but I can just remember it. It was really awful. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm involved in the gender-based violence world now as a philanthropist and advisor on a family foundation. So these things are very powerful and important to me. If I had any doubt in that moment about how urgent I was about the work to eradicate gender-based violence, all I have to do is remember that conversation. Not only is it about the pain that that young child was in, but the incredible pain and pressure that young mother was in, such that she would be in that mode of conversation with that child. When you tap into what's urgent, when you tap into what's broken, or what you feel is missing, what you would like to change about the world and what you can change using your businesses, you will have a sense of urgency about it. It's not going to be apologetic. It's not going to be whatever. Okay? You can't have a sense of urgency all the time. You'd be fatigued within a week. Okay? But strategically cultivating your access to urgency so that when it comes time to call a person forward to do something fantastic with their lives with your help, there will be no doubt in anyone's mind that you're the one for them. And that's strategy number 5.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I think that urgency, takes on a lot of different guises as well. Is that sometimes if you wait too long to act, then sometimes you lose the momentum also.
Yeah.
To make that thing happen.
Yep. Momentum is such a good word, Denise, that you're using there. It's the perfect word. As you think about running, let's say running, because, despite injuries and stuff like that, you're a running ballerina.
No.
Well, with grace, and the energetic of it is just presented to me as it's so integrated into your life. You might not look like a ballerina when you're actually running, but to me, it's very elegant how you integrate it.
Thank you.
When you're running and you have momentum, it's easier to keep momentum. When you don't have momentum, it can feel like gravity is working really well today in that spot right underneath your feet.
Exactly. It's like cement, and it's like you're going nowhere, even though, yeah. Exactly.
So I love that word that you use, momentum, for this urgency. And urgency goes for you, deciding to say yes to the right things and no to the right things, and then transferring that energy, becoming the leader, the thought leader that you are, so that your people become more decisive and your people become more urgent about it. Again, it's not a state of adrenaline. It's not a state of acidity in your stomach or anything like that. It's that power of knowing you can make a change and being urgent about that.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Strategy number 6.
Number 6.
A simple one, but very deep. This is something that can sometimes take, even it could be immediate. You can take away something about it. You can leave a splinter in your mind in a good way. But it can sometimes take a year to really integrate well. And again, this is something that you do so well, Denise, and that is people, forward-thinking entrepreneurs see themselves as assets. Now, assets is kind of a funny word. It's one of those that sort of, I think, the meaning is kind of lost sometimes. So let me do this and briefly say, if you were to get ready to sell your house or your home, your apartment, whatever it is, even if you're renting, if you were getting ready to move, and you were to make a list of your assets, okay? Most of us would if you have a vehicle or a bicycle, or you have an entertainment center, furniture, any technical stuff, your laptops, your office equipment, those are all assets. Okay? Those are the things that if you were to be selling, you would be selling and receiving money in exchange. The funny thing is that in a business, even though your phone line, your computer, your internet, your URLs, your web copy, all those things are assets, so many of us don't realize that we are by far and away the most important asset in our business. Right? I can feel you nodding from over here. Yes!
I'm nodding for them. I'm nodding for them because I think that you're right. Most people don't see themselves as the asset, yet if it wasn't, for me as the business owner or anyone else out there who's, performing a service, whatever it is, you take that person away, and what is left in the business is sometimes not a lot.
No, it'd be like a human being without any blood inside it. There's no way for it to live.
Right.
It's that essential. So if you have assets that are external to you, like your furniture, your technology, you take care of them, like maybe dust them once in a while, or your car, you take it, it's an asset, you don't want it to fall apart. And yeah, that very basic thing with regards to us being an asset gets overlooked. The more money that you make, the more important this is. If you want to raise your prices, quite a few of you probably think, I could be paid a little bit more, for what I do. If you aren't treating yourself as a valuable asset, then why would another person pay you a lot to do what you do? Okay, that'd be like saying, let's go to this really beautiful French restaurant, right? I'm sure, Denise, you can think you're a foodie as well, like me. Think of a beautiful French restaurant, and it has this amazing reputation. It's really expensive, but worth it. It's like once in a lifetime to eat there. And you go there, and it hasn't been taken care of. It's shabby. The sign is hanging from a corner. Okay? Why would that? Obviously, so treat yourself like an asset. Strategy number 7.
Number 7.
It's important that forward-thinking entrepreneurs find a way to play full out, but I want to teach this in a slightly different way. Playing full out requires us to feel things fully. I have a couple of stories that I can also share, in some of the circles after the hangout around playing full out. It's like putting all your chips into the middle of the table. If you're playing poker, I'm all in. Move all of these chips into the middle of the table and hit me. I don't know. What do you say in poker? I don't play poker, so
I don't either.
So I don't know. But that feeling of playing full out, as an entrepreneur, you're going to be able to tap into that more when you allow yourselves to feel things fully, whether it's the good or what's broken or what's missing, the grit in your oyster. The depth of your commitment, what gets you able to overcome obstacles, is going to be closely tied with whether you allow yourself to feel things fully. Feeling things fully also allows you to speak truth about the reality of your situation if you're in a tough place. If we can't get you to that truth, we're not going to be able to help you. Okay? And I guess the final analogy really is this, is like, forward-thinking entrepreneurs play full out by understanding that we have to play offense. We think of sports, yeah? Did you ever play a team sport, Denise?
I did not. I didn't play very many sports at all.
I just got hit in the head with glasses, and my glasses broke by the ball, and I was not even on the field game like 3 years in a row. But it doesn't mean that we can't relate to this analogy. When you're on a sports team, if you don't play offense, what's the highest score that you could possibly get?
0.
Right. If all you're doing is playing defense, the highest score you can get is 0 by protecting your net. You cannot score, you cannot get on the game board of life, the scoreboard of life, if you do not play offense. So let's get out there and be more offensive. Let's get out there and take a stand for something. Surprising strategies of forward-thinking entrepreneurs, I hope, have been helpful. And oh my God, I've had so much fun. Denise, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Do you want to just take a quick minute, since we did start a little bit late, to just kind of say them quickly, just recap them for people who might have come on a little bit after the beginning, because we had a couple people join in. And
yeah, welcome late. Glad you could come. Yeah. We teach and coach. Wealthy Thought Leader is kind of different. We teach in a coaching approach. So I'm going to summarize these in bullet formats, but definitely it's an experience to hear them coached through some of the conversation pieces and the comments that Denise helped to bring out. So definitely go back and listen, even if you think these are, how many times did I say this might seem a little obvious or it might seem odd? They are strategies, though, that you can choose to apply. And so while I'm reviewing them, those of you who were still here, I told you there'd be a quiz. The quiz is actually for me to see if I can review them properly. Would you pick one or two? And it would be a big gift. It's like a hangout celebration gift. If you would show me that, one of them landed. Maybe it prompted some new one for you. That's fine too in this coaching conversation. So, reviewing the 7 surprising strategies of forward-thinking entrepreneurs. Number 1, you're strategically proactive about overwhelm. We choose the no's and the yeses that we say. We prioritize decision-making. Number 2. Okay, no decision is also a decision. This is a big one for income generation. Strategy number 3. Forward-thinking entrepreneurs do what only they can do. This one is important for everyone. If you don't pick this one, it's going to come for you at some point, just saying. So you can pick it now or you can pick it later. It's fine. But this one, it's super important. Anytime we meet with any success in our own businesses or with clients, it's because they're willing to be coachable on strategy number 3. Strategy number 4, forward-thinking entrepreneurs lead together. They use a circle formation for leadership. And they know that unless an idea has a community or a team around it, it is not going to work, not in the new paradigm. Strategy number 5, we have a strategic sense of urgency. And I welcome you all to watch the Batman clip from The Dark Knight Rises. I'll get the link and post it on the Hangout page, Denise.
That'd be terrific.
Yeah. It is a heart thumper. Like, I play it, and we are the champions from Queen whenever I need to get my blood going. Those are full kimono secrets from Andrea's vault. Strategy number 6, we see ourselves as assets. Just like our technology is an asset, and we treat ourselves really well as the ultimate asset in our business. If you do not do this, and you're having trouble with income, or with raising your prices, look here first, okay? And finally, strategy number 7, we play full out by strategically remembering to feel things fully.
Excellent.
And those are the 7 strategies.
Excellent. So for you out there in Hangout Land, if you could, do Andrea a favor and write down in the comments which one of those 2 or 3 maybe have really landed for you, where you know that that's where either some focus needs to go, or that's where you see your next step is. For me, when I look at these things, I have to constantly remind myself to play full out, because I can get lazy sometimes. In my head, I'm really passionate and really, being a leader and being proactive and all that stuff. But sometimes it gets little exhausting. So I got to remember, play full out, because that's where I'm going to see the change, not just for me, but for the people who I'm working with. So I always appreciate hearing that again from you, Andrea. And I want to thank you for being here with me today, Andrea, and sharing these strategies with my audience and with some of our friends too. I noticed lots of familiar names out there. And I hope that some of you will join us in the lab. I also participate in the lab, even though it's not my primary way of getting coaching. But it's a great place to get support and a lot of great ideas. And I don't know, there's a lot of energy, and I see so much success being generated there.
Thanks, Denise. Yeah, we'd love to see any and all of you who feel that sense of urgency in creating a business in this perhaps unusual way, the thought leader way. Oh my goodness. I would love it. Love it, love it. So give it a shot. The link I think is posted, but in case it helps, it's wealthythoughtleader.com/lab trial, and we will be there with all sorts of bells and whistles and all that on to help you with these 7 strategies, among other things, the stuff that you are working on and is nearest to your heart.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you for being here with us today. Thank you, Andrea, for being here with me today. I really appreciate it.
Denise, I can't go without saying one last thing. Thank you for hosting me. It's been a dream and so easy. You've made every single step of the way just a delight and fun. And yeah, no, you were right. It took you a while to convince me. I was indecisive about this. But for visibility and the partnership that you bring to not just me, but all of your clients and the community, thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you. And we'll see you around the web, guys. Till next time.